Hi everyone, it's time for the weekly video. I've managed to tear myself away from playing Tomb Raider, which has been awesome. I've been doing that all week. Welcome to new subscribers. Thank you for liking and subscribing. If you're new and just clicking on this video, please like and subscribe. Anyway, yeah, Tomb Raider. I saw people mentioning it in Instagram stories. They had remastered Tomb Raider 1, 2 and 3 for the PlayStations. So I was like, I need to get on that. $24.99 for the 3 games. I think all the extras are on there. It's just been wonderful. It's like I'm 21 again. Although I am better now than I ever was then, because I'm just better at those types of games. I've had a bit more practice. And when in doubt, if you've been going around and around and around the same area for 4 hours, you can more easily find a walkthrough guide to help you. So I highly recommend the Tomb Raider remasters. I may have caved in and got the 3 Metal Gear Solid game collection as well. That's fun. I've been busy with games this week. I made time for games. It's difficult to get the balance. I love the movies. I do my blog every day. We do the podcast every week. I have so much that I always want to consume, and I don't mean that in a negative way. But then I sometimes want to chill out, play something like Tomb Raider. I have pinball games on the PlayStation as well. I know, you might be rolling your eyes and being like typical man-child, but it's fun stuff that I enjoy. So yeah, I can do what I want, and I encourage you to do the same. Couple of notes, if I haven't mentioned it already. Remember the Coffin Joe Blu-ray box set from Arrow. They do have a disc replacement program in place now. You need the details, so either get on their websites and find out about that, or find out from whoever you bought your set from. Very handy. Don't miss out on this, because remember, there is, I forget which disc, but one of the discs, the subtitles cuts off after about 32-33 minutes. Awakening of the Beast, I want to say. So I hope you've got proof of purchase. If not, they do things like send a photo with writing on the disc or something, so you can sort that out, and I hope you do. I've seen lots of people still sharing photos of the set, pleased with their purchase, and that's great. I don't want to comment on everyone's photo saying, that's great, have you kept a receipt, do you know about the fault? Because I don't know when corrected sets are being released for general retail, so I don't know the time scale. But please, if you've taken notes of anything I said in a video a little while ago, if you've picked up the set, then do get in touch about the disc replacement, which is now in place, which should now be a lot better and smoother than their initial reaction, which is to just reply to people saying, oh, if you have a problem, you should contact your retailer, which didn't help anyone. A couple of bits of posts this week, no movies, but a couple of movie books. Men, Women and Chainsaws, which is, I believe, a celebrated text. There was an extra 1 or 2 books with this title. I think this is the one that I'm after. I think this is one that people have mentioned for years. First published in 1992, so that sounds about right, that it's gone on for that long. Lots of good word on the back and recommendations for it. Quite an academic text, I think, but looking forward to making time for that at some point. And then Unlikable Female Characters by Anna Bogatskaya. I hope I've pronounced her surname correctly. I've heard it mentioned a few times. Anna is someone who I first heard Anna when she was one of the hosts filling in for the Simon Mail Mark Kermode film show, and I was a little bit sort of unhappy with the episode. I didn't really like the patter. I wasn't entirely sure of like her approach to film criticism, but she says a lot that I end up enjoying. She speaks a lot of sense. It is always good to keep getting different viewpoints, especially as just like a standard straight white guy. I think it's important to always be finding viewpoints from different places around the world, and obviously different spectrums of sexuality and different gender viewpoints. So I appreciate that from Anna. I appreciate the work that she puts into other projects that she's passionate about, and when she is more comfortable, on more solid ground for something that she knows about, rather than say fill in on a movie review show with various titles mentioned that she might not know as well as the stuff that she really dives into. So it's good. I'm looking forward to this. I'm sure it'll be a good read. As I say, I generally like her style. What I don't like is, and this isn't specific to Anna, she has used this now and again, but critics who will just make use of things like the word stan. I just, I can't be doing with that. I think I've only ever used the word sarcastically or to make a point, but I can't be bothered with people who chat on TV shows or well, I guess podcasts. I was going to say radio shows, but or in articles that are written. We stand so and so in this issue. It's just like, don't do that, because you can have your favoritism bias towards them. It doesn't mean you have to stan them. And using the word stan is just really irritates me, because he was a psycho fan in the Eminem song. Like, let's not forget that. It doesn't just mean, oh, I'm a huge fan of this person. Stan was a psycho fan. If there was any use of stan in that context beforehand, then let me know if I'm misunderstanding the whole thing. But I don't like it. I'll never do it, and it's something that irritates me, and I've heard some people use it, and I just had to get that off my chest, because this is a little bit of a random ipsy dipsy video this week. Speaking of ipsy dipsy, we have a special guest programmer for the special this month, and it is Dave's niece. We will try as often as possible to refer to her as Killa. And we are looking at 4 children's movies in terms of, that would be one of the main demographics. So Zombies 2, we've already covered Zombies on the podcast, the Disney musical with zombies and a school divided. There is Suzume, which is from I believe from the director of Your Name, so Japanese animation. There is Lara Croft Tomb Raider. I had nothing to do with that. She picked that independently of me. So I think y'all know what that one is. Angelina Jolie in the original Tomb Raider movie. And Nimona. And that's a really great selection. As far as I know, we didn't sway Killa in her choice of films anywhere, not even her Uncle Dave, as far as I know. It's a good spread though, a good mix of stuff, and people often ask about films that they want to use as gateway films or perfect family films or conversation starters with children, or what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. And I've said this many times before, I disagree with censorship, but I really am on board with certification, and certification gives you an idea, but every child is different. I remember loving the horror movies I got to stay up and watch when I was young, the stuff that I could find in the video store, just everything as a kid. Even when I had nightmares later, if I was caught having nightmares and then was told like, oh, you're not watching any more scary movies, I'd be upset at the idea of not being able to watch more scary movies. So that was my thing, which maybe explains a lot. But other children have different, different states, different abilities to handle things at different levels. And the only people who will know the child who's going to view a film best is the person who looks after that child most, the parent, the carer, the person that child is with, and that person just knows what that child can tolerate on screen. years ago they re-released Gremlins in cinemas for a while. I think, I want to say it was about 5 or 6 years ago, and I was going to take my youngest daughter, and at the time she was about, I think she was about 11 or 12. I can't recall if it was getting shown in cinemas at a 15 certificate or if it was at a 12 or 12A. So there's some confusion in my memory there. But it had been listed anyway, I think, as a 15 at one point. And I thought, what is the certification? Can we go along? I was looking into that. Anyway, we missed the schedule window. So I actually sat down at home, obviously had Gremlins, and we watched it one afternoon. Had a bit of low lighting, it was a winter's day, and it was a good time. But it was a good time because we weren't in a cinema worrying about other people in the dark. I was able to talk to my youngest daughter about the puppetry and the effects, and reminder of the fun factor of Gremlins. And then we got through the sort of tougher scenes together before it would lighten up again. Because you forget, if you're showing a kid Gremlins, like that extended sequence with the mother in the kitchen is really quite intense, and kids are like, whoa, when the Gremlins themselves are first properly appearing. So, you know, there's that. I know many horror fans who discuss introducing kids to horror, whether it's stuff like the Monster Squad, whether it's some of the old Hammer horror movies, or the Universal monsters that are, you know, much tamer than anything by today's standards. The Hammer horror movies have the blood and heaving bosoms, but you can find some that are relatively tame and good for kids. But it's just, you know, again, you'll know. And that also comes to every genre of movie and everything that movies cover. Nimona has some really interesting stuff to say about individuals being able to be themselves, and also about people who are perceived a certain way because of maybe one or two other people making that judgment and then spiraling things from there. Suzume has a lot to say about sort of, in a way, I guess, about friendship. It's a really strange one. I look forward to hearing our conversation about that. There is a young man who turns into a three-legged chair in that movie, so that's the way that's going. But the young girl stands by that three-legged chair for some time, and so that's something. Zombies 2 continues along the path that was set by Zombies, about you know, tolerance, living together with people who are different from you, etc., etc. Introduces some werewolves in the mix, and then Lara Croft Tomb Raider is a completely different kettle of fish, but it has moments of peril. It has the you know, the action, the slick violence, stuff that, again, if you're watching with your child, it's up to you if you know that they're fine with that, if they can clearly tell the difference between reality and make-believe, if they're okay with that. I find it strange, particularly in America, they don't mind kids seeing any violence a lot of the time, but any nudity and sex, they're a bit up in arms about it. And we have this prudishness now, whereas a healthy attitude towards nudity and sex is, in my mind, much better for us as a society than a more developed blasé attitude towards guns and violence. But what do I know? Maybe my brain has been addled by playing too much Tomb Raider this week. It will continue to be addled as I try a bit more this week. I just thought it was an interesting topic of conversation for the little video. If you have children, if you've had experiences with your own children, deciding on the right time to watch a certain film, deciding on how to nurture their interests that you see growing in a certain way, whether it's action movies, comedy, slapstick, animation. Lots of kids love to draw, and then the more animation they watch, they try and copy different styles. They do stuff that's really creative and wonderful. There are all different ways that cinema, of course, feeds into our lives, and can feed into the education and development of children. So I think it's an important thing to keep in mind, and I'm really happy that we're doing this special. And although they are designated kids films, I hope you enjoy listening to it nonetheless, and I hope we have a good bit to say about each of the films picked by Killa, our super duper special guest programmer. That's it for now. Until next week, bye.